What is up, fight fans? This is DJC Combat, and tomorrow night goes down UFC 287, headlined by the quadrilogy across both combat sports, Poatan versus Stylebender Part 4. Looking forward to that, and I'm going to give my breakdown and prediction for the main card, maybe some preliminary fights as well, but I'm not going to be doing it alone. I got my co-host with me, Samurai Sod. We both predicted UFC 286 together, or 285, and we both called the Alexa Grasso upset because, we're geniuses. We knew it was up. So we're going to start with the first fight of the main card, Raul Rosas Jr. versus versus Christian Rodriguez. I'm going to kick it off to you, my friend. So who do you have winning that fight?
Yeah, so as we know that Christian Rodriguez is definitely a much better fighter than Jay Perrin, so this is a huge step up in competition, I would say. But I am going to go with Raul Rosas Jr. here. I think his grappling would be enough, and yeah, his grappling is very strong, and that's what I've noticed in Raul Rosas' game. His grappling is very, very strong. It's very good, and Christian Rodriguez just doesn't impress me anywhere. He's kind of similar to like Jamie Pickett. He's not really impressive anywhere. He's just kind of like good everywhere. That's all. So yeah, I'm gonna be picking Raul Rosas by submission.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my pick too. I think, they're both good everywhere, but I just feel like Raul Rosas Jr. I feel like Christian Rodriguez is a basic version of Raul Rosas Jr. I think Rosas is just the more talented guy, and the UFC knew what they were doing by giving him this matchup. And I just don't see Raul losing this one. So, yeah, I see him getting it done. Now, moving up the main card, we got Santiago Ponzinibio versus Kevin Trailblazer Holland. So I'm gonna start with myself. Uh, yeah, I want Ponzinibbio to win. I like him. I like Kevin Holland as well, but this is clearly not the same Ponzinibbio. He's 2-3, I believe, in his last like 5 fights. He's not that same guy who was on that long win streak. Ever since that health scare that kept him out of the octagon for 3 years, he's been washed. He just doesn't have it, and he's taken a lot of damage over his last few fights, getting knocked out by Li Jing Liang, that war with Miguel Baeza. He got hit a lot by Jeff Neal, took a bit of damage against Miguel Pereira as well, but his last performance, even though he had a third round comeback win against Morono, he was getting dropped left, right, and center. He was not looking good in that fight, man. He was getting beat up. And Kevin Holland, I mean, before the catchweight fight with Shemaev, he was on a roll in the welterweight division, finishing guys like Cowboy Oliveira, finishing Tim Means, and then he had his one loss at welterweight to Wonderboy. I don't count Shemaev; that was a catchweight. Nothing wrong with losing to Wonderboy. No shame in that. Wonderboy is a seasoned veteran who's been in the top of this division for years and is better than Santiago at this point. I'm gonna have to go with Trailblazer to win this fight. I think he's too powerful. I think he's too quick. He's got the height and reach advantage. Ponzinibbio is 6 foot. He has a shorter reach. Kevin Holland has like an 80-inch reach, and he's 6'3". He's going to be able to keep that range and land them long, awkward, fast punches on Ponzinibbio. And yeah, if Ponzi was getting lit up by Morono, imagine what Holland could do. But Kevin Holland is a lot more durable than Alex. So I can't even see Santiago mounting like a comeback finish. Like Santiago, if he's going to win this fight, he might want to mix it up and grapple, but that's not his style. This is a favorable matchup for Kevin Holland. I think he gets it done, and I think he gets the finish. What say you, Saad?
Well, I am a huge Ponzinibbio fan, but we all know that Ponzinibbio isn't the same anymore. Those 3 years off completely changed him, as physically and mentally. And obviously his last fight, he wasn't very impressive. He did get the knockout last minute, but before that, as we all know, he was getting dropped like 3 times, 2 times in a row. And this is Kevin Holland we're talking about here. Kevin Holland is still good. Like he's fighting guys like Khamzat Chimaev, Stephen Thompson. So there's not really that much of that's not really lowering his stock that much. Kevin Holland is a long and lanky guy too, so his power is very, very good for his size and his length. And I do think he's gonna knock Ponzinibbio out probably in the second or third round.
Yeah, I agree, man. Holland's still got a bright future in his career. I think he's only going to get better. He's going to rebuild off this win. And I think Ponzi's just, he's nearing the end, but it is what it is. All right, now we move on to Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. What's your prediction for that one?
So yeah, I got Adrian Yanez by knockout, probably a third round or second round. I don't trust Rob Font's chin at this point. I know he's a good fighter. He's been fighting really good fighters in the division as well. But his chin, he's been taking way too much damage. The Jose Aldo fight, he got dropped like how many times? Like five, 6 times. The Cheeto Vera fight, he got dropped again like every single round. And Adrian Yanez has some crisp boxing. He has very good striking. He's a young guy. He's up and coming. He's very, very hungry in the sport. And I do believe Adrian Yanez is going to get the job done. He's just a younger and fresher guy out of the two. Both of their boxing is good, but I do favor Adrian Yanez to win here.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't even know why a lot of people are picking Rob Font. I see people like saying, "Oh, Adrian's overrated. Font's gonna show him levels," but how? I mean, Rob Font is all like war torn, damaged up. I don't know. I don't think Font has ever been an overly great fighter. Let's be honest. I mean, he's got good boxing skills. He has a good jab, but he's not really like top. He's not like of the upper echelon of the bantamweight division. And like you said, he's taken a lot of damage in his last couple fights. Like Aldo was dropping him a bunch of times. Do you see his face after that fight? And even look what
Yeah.
Cheeto Vera did. I mean, he was winning every minute of each round against Cheeto till getting dropped. He just can't take a good shot to save his life. I think Yanez has the youth advantage, the durability advantage. He has enough power to hurt um, Rob Font. He could probably drop him a bunch of times. I mean, Font has shown he can survive getting hurt, so maybe he'll survive. But I can see Yanez just getting knocked down to seal the deal and get him a decision, or he might get the finish. But I think this is going to be a good opponent to propel Yanez forward up the division and probably get him somewhere in the top 7.
Well, one thing's for sure, this is definitely Yanez's toughest test to date for sure. It's a good step
Yeah,
up in
I agree.
competition.
Yeah, it's definitely a step up, but a doable fight, a winnable fight. All right, now we got to the co-main event. We got Gilbert Dorino Burns versus Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. I'm picking Gilbert Burns to win this fight. I think a lot of people know that on paper Burns should win. I mean, anything can happen. Last co-main of the pay-per-view I did, uh, it did not go well. The last one I predicted, I picked Fiziev to beat Justin Gaethje, and of course, I was dead wrong about that. So who knows? Maybe Jorge could surprise us, but I just think this is too good of a step up for Masvidal. He's been exposed in like the last few years. He had his 15 minutes of fame in 2019. When he knocked out Darren Till. At the time, it was a good win. That viral flying knee 5-second KO over Askren, and then where he beat up Nate Diaz. He made a name off those wins and he became a superstar. But then when he had to fight Usman twice, we saw what happened. He got dominated to a decision. Then he got knocked out. Then he fought Colby, not on Colby's level. Burns, like I said, he's of that upper echelon of this division. I think he's just hungrier at this point in his career. Masvidal doesn't really have the love for the game. You can see the shape that he's in. Like, he's out of shape for this fight. Clearly, not in good shape. And again, he's been exposed. I think Burns is the better fighter. I think he has more ways to win. I think he can threaten Masvidal on the feet, with his explosive punches. He's got an ability to explosively, like, quickly close the distance and land big bombs, but he can mix it up between his hands and his takedowns. He has that takedown threat. He's got the grappling advantage. And I think he's going to go out there. I think he's going to use it. Gilbert Burns is the kind of fighter where he's not going to like chance it on the feet if he doesn't have to. Like, look at his last fight against Magny. I know Magny's not like the most dangerous striker, but he's tall, long, awkward. So Burns is like, all right, I'm just going to take him down. Submitted him under a minute. Wonder Boy, one of the best strikers in the division. And Gilbert was like, screw this. I'm not playing around the feet. Went straight to the takedowns. And I think he's gonna use a similar game plan against Jorge. Like, he will strike with him a little bit. Don't get me wrong. There's gonna be some striking in this fight. And Burns is gonna hurt him on the feet as well. But I think Burns is not going to take those chances because Masvidal does have, I do believe he does have superior boxing and a durability advantage. And there's always that threat he could maybe knock out Gilbert. That's where the upset potential lies. But Burns ain't going to give him that chance. And whenever there's that takedown threat presented, Masvidal becomes very gun shy and he doesn't go first against grapplers. And he gets too comfortable off the back foot. And I see Gilbert Burns being first, pushing forward, mixing it in, getting takedowns, and something tells me that we're gonna see Gilbert Burns get a submission in this fight. I know that Maya couldn't submit him, and Maya in his prime, and that was the closest thing to a prime Maya who fought Masvidal, is the best BJJ artist in the UFC, right? When he was around. But now Burns kind of has that title. I mean, he's one of the deadliest grapplers in the UFC currently. And I feel like he's gonna catch Jorge in a scramble when Jorge's trying to get back up, and Burns might take advantage and probably latch up maybe like a rear naked choke, maybe even a triangle armbar or something. Who knows? He might even drop and submit Jorge Masvidal. But my pick is gonna be Gilbert Burns via submission. If not, I'll take him by a dominant decision. What's your pick?
Yeah, I do have Gilbert Burns like the majority of the people do here, but the story of this fight is, can Masvidal land on the feet and knock Gilbert Burns out, or can he defend the takedowns from Gilbert Burns? But the twist is, Gilbert Burns has power on the feet as well. He has very good striking of his own. So can Masvidal not worry about the takedowns, also not worry about the stand-up? So that's the tricky part for Masvidal fans. And I can speak for a lot of people here that in 2019, Masvidal was a huge fan favorite. I think a lot of people were a fan of him. But a couple of years later, we swallowed that pill. He's just not that good. He is overrated. He's not really elite. But his losses are deceiving too. He has about 16 losses, but he fought a lot and he's been fighting since he was like 18 years old. And losses are gonna happen. I don't really look at that too much, but I don't think Masvidal can handle Gilbert Burns at this point because Gilbert Burns he's in his prime right now. He's in the top five, top three-ish level of guys. So I do think Gilbert Burns is gonna get the job done, probably by knockout or submission, more likely submission. Masvidal has a great chin. I trust his chin, but he can get knocked out or dropped. But I do trust submission a little bit more than knockout.
Yeah, it's true. Because usually with Masvidal, like if you don't put him unconscious, he's so good at like just recovering and getting back up. And that's why I think Burns might actually just go for a sub if he drops him. He might not waste his time trying to pound him out. Because what if Masvidal just gets back up like he did against Till and countless other times? So I think if he drops him, I think he's going to take advantage of a hurt Jorge and latch up a sub. If he's smart, and I think it'll be a short night in that case. But we shall see what happens. Jorge needs this win. If he loses, like he said, he's done. He's going to retire. And that's also not the greatest mindset to go in with as well. Where Burns knows that, like, I don't know, Burns isn't done like that. Gilbert Burns is like, okay, I have nothing to lose. Well, I don't know. I don't know really who has more to lose. I think Burns has less to lose in this case, honestly. Like he could lose this,
Yeah,
it might suck, but he's not on a losing streak. He can just rebuild, come back. Whereas Masvidal, if he loses, goodbye. So yeah, I think Gilbert has this, but we'll have to find out tomorrow. Now we go into the main event of the evening, the quadrilogy between Stylebender and Poatan. A lot is at stake here. This is another guy who really needs to win. Israel Adesanya. Uh, I'm gonna hand it over to you. What's your prediction for this rematch slash quadrilogy?
yeah. I know a lot of people have Alex Pereira winning this fight. I know, but I do have Israel Adesanya winning this fight by knockout in the fourth round or in the third round. This is a fight that's always going to be close. It's always going to be competitive, and we all know that Israel Adesanya probably won the first fight in kickboxing. I think everyone understands that. The second fight, he was winning until he got knocked out. Third fight, again, winning until he got knocked out. It was competitive, don't get me wrong, but Israel Adesanya had the edge until he got finished. And I just think this fourth time he's going to put everything he can, everything in his power to win this fight once and for all, and shut up the doubters. Adesanya's striking, I think, is going to be enough to win this fight. His grappling and his striking. Alex Pereira is a good striker as well, but he doesn't really have the same kind of output as Adesanya. I think Adesanya will be able to outpoint Alex Pereira and just make sure not to get hit when he got slept last fight. He wasn't really aware of the finishing blows. So he has to make sure that he can keep himself safe at all times and just do everything in his power. Like for example, Kamaru Usman in the trilogy, he made sure he didn't get knocked out by the head kick again because he had it in the back of his mind. So he's not going to he's not going to let that happen again. And yeah, I just believe Israel Adesanya is on his level. I do believe he can get one over on Alex Pereira, and I think this will be the time for that. And I think this will be his chance for redemption.
Okay, yeah. I mean, obviously, I really want Israel Adesanya to win this fight, but I think my heart says Adesanya, my head says Alex Pereira, but I do hope that you are correct. And weirdly enough, I do kind of have a hunch that Adesanya might get it done. Just to be safe, I'm gonna ride with Pereira. I picked Israel last time. But I don't know, man. It's tough when you got a guy who's beaten you 3 times. I mean, I know Israel Adesanya had the edge each time. One time was a robbery. The other 2 times he was winning until he wasn't. But it's like in this case, who do you go with? The guy who came close but then got caught, or the guy who's just done it all 3 times? I think for me, the safer bet is the guy who's got it done all 3 times. And I'm actually even putting money on Alex as well. I'm not really going to disclose how much. Until let's say I win, because if I lose the bet, I'm gonna look freaking stupid. But yeah, I'm gonna take Alex. I don't think he'll knock Israel out though. That people are saying. A lot of people are like, "Oh, Alex Pereira is gonna easily win easier, knock him out."
Yeah,
Like,
it's not
no,
gonna
it's still
happen.
gonna be a tough fight for both.
These guys are so
It's
evenly matched. They're just too
yeah,
evenly matched for Adesanya not to win one fight. I think Adesanya will definitely win this fight. He's gonna
yeah,
put everything he can to do this to win this fight. He was winning the last
yeah,
fight. He just had to wait a couple more minutes. He's gonna make sure that 1 second, that 1 minute I was being lazy, I'm gonna make sure I don't get caught.
yeah. And I think one problem with why he got caught last time, it wasn't just that he got. I mean, part of it was he got complacent, but his leg was damaged in that fight. Alex Pereira did great calf work with the calf kicks, and then Israel threw a leg kick, not set up, and Alex checked it. And you remember Israel, he fell back and did a backward somersault, and then from there he just couldn't move. He couldn't get off the cage. So, if not for that Israel Adesanya, I don't think he would have been trapped against the cage and swarmed. But it literally took till that moment for Alex to actually get to him. Without that, I don't really think he can catch Israel. And, yeah, he brutally flatlined him in the second fight, but at this level, knockouts like that are so hard to repeat. Israel Adesanya is a tough guy to finish. He's got a good chin, but really good defense. And he's been in there with so many powerful guys that he's went the distance with, like Jan Blachowicz, Yoel Romero, Kelvin Gastelum in his prime. So I think he can survive, but I see this one going the distance and Alex Pereira just kind of having a better performance than last time. And he'll be more acclimated to MMA, more comfortable now. He'll be more confident in going 5 rounds. And Izzy might not have the edge like he did last time. He might not be in full control. I think it'll be more of an even fight that will go to the cards. But because Alex is the champion, they're likely going to edge it to him. And we usually see this a lot of the times in rematches, which is why I'm picking Alex by decision, is because, usually in rematches where the person the last time won by a finish, and if they win again, it's always a decision and it's always close. Do you notice that? It's happened throughout history. Whitaker, Adesanya 2 was a close decision. Usman, Covington 2, close decision. Rose's rematches with Whaley and Joanna after finishing them was a close decision. If DC didn't get stopped late against Stipe, he was going to win by decision, not by a finish, right? However, I think if there's going to be a finish in this fight, something tells me it's either going to be Alex by a decision or it's going to be Israel Adesanya by a knockout. And I think an early KO, I believe, is the only way Israel is going to win, because it's too risky to let this go to a decision, given the factor that Alex is the champ. He's got the champ bias on his side with the judges. And it's just too dangerous of a fight to let drag out, because Poatan has that dog in him. Like Izzy said, Pereira can recover well. And dude, when he puts his foot on the gas, he becomes very hard to stop. So Izzy has to put the hammer on him. He's got to slay Poatan early so he can go home early, take no damage, no risks. And me as a fan of Izzy, I don't have to go home. I don't have to stress throughout the whole fight until either Alex catches him again or they go to a decision. So yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to knock him out early, but it's possible. It is very possible, and I pray to God that he knocks him out early. But I'm gonna go with Alex. Sadly, I picked Izzy last time. I'm going with Alex this time, but we'll see. It's anyone's fight, because Israel Adesanya had the edge each time. He's clearly the more skillful fighter, but Pereira just has that one equalizer that always seems to get the job done every time. I don't really think Israel's going to be mentally affected going in like people think. He's very mentally strong. He's driven. He's motivated from this loss. It doesn't matter if he's down 0-3. He's still very confident, knowing he's had it won. He's got the confidence that he was a dominant champ. He's got that champ experience, which could also play a factor into this one. So Izzy's focused. He's locked in. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a high level competitive chess match. Could be anyone's fight. I think Izzy survives, but because it's close, we know how the judges we know the treatment they give the champion. So that is why I am picking Pereira to get the W. But I'm hoping, and new man, Africa needs a champion, and it's up to Israel now.
Yeah, this is definitely Israel Adesanya's biggest fight ever. This is his chance to become two-time middleweight champion. This is his chance to do it against his biggest rival, his biggest enemy. And I just think he's gonna put. That's why I think he's gonna put everything in this fight, everything he can do in his power to win this fight. And that's why I think he's gonna get the knockout, man, because he does have knockout ability. People do forget that
Yep,
as Adesanya has some heavy hands. You know
of
what happened in the
course.
first fight? He rocked him at the end of the round. I think he can definitely try to do that again and maybe finish off the fight this time for
Yeah,
sure.
and something else I noticed too. So when he rocked Alex Pereira, his head kind of leaned this way when he got rocked by the right hand. And I was kind of thinking, is he with that right hand, instead of following up with the left hook, Izzy could also mask. He could maybe mix in a left high kick, with
Yeah,
that right cross. He could mix in a high. He could go up top to the head with a kick and maybe knock Pereira out. That might be how
I
we see
noticed
Israel
Adesanya has
Adesanya.
kind of stopped using head kicks. He's kind of stopped using head
Yeah,
kicks. I noticed that. He should start
but
bringing those
who
kicks back.
knows? If he brings it back for this fight, he might
Yeah,
catch Pereira off guard and knock him out. Might happen.
yeah.
But that right hand is Alex's weakness. It doesn't seem like he can do much about it, because he got caught by it, multiple times in the second fight in kickboxing, and got badly hurt by it at the end of round one. And even in the third round, Israel Adesanya got hurt by that shot. Or sorry, he hurt Alex with that shot. And I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see if Izzy can do much with his grappling, because he went he went 1-4 on takedown attempts. He only got one successful attempt. Alex was defending the rest, and Izzy just never truly fully developed his overall offensive grappling game in mixed martial arts. Sadly, it's only good defensively, so it's going to be easy to defend takedowns against a kickboxer. But who knows? He's been working a lot on wrestling, and maybe he'll find success in that. But I don't know. I doubt it. I think it's going to come down to the striking in this fight, because I think if either man really tries to grapple hard, they'll both gas out. So I think they're just going to do what they know, which is striking. Do you agree?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But
I don't think
yeah,
the wrestling is
hopefully
a good
tomorrow's
option.
the one.
I don't think the wrestling is a good option for either. I think this should just be a strictly a kickboxing striking matchup because when they wrestle, both of them gas out because both of them are not familiar with the wrestling, and it's not really good for them for
Yeah,
both.
Only the Reaper, though, but that's a topic for another video. But yeah, Robert Whitaker, if he fights Poatan, we know that he's going to wrestle, and he can wrestle.
Yeah.
Can't wrestle fuck Izzy, though, because we know how good Izzy's takedown defense is, and he can get up. But he might be able to use, like, he'll have a better chance using that game plan on Adesanya than, or no, he'll have a better chance using that game plan on Alex than Israel. So he might get lucky, and maybe he'll have to fight Alex next. But again, that is a topic for another video. So looking forward to this fight. I hope fourth time is the charm. It better be the charm.
Yeah, let's talk about some prelim fights. Just
Oh,
about a few more here.
true. Yes. We got Chris Kurt. Should we go in order actually? So okay, we got Williams versus Sherman. You want to talk about that or
Sure.
okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I
Pick out the
don't.
big ones.
Yeah, let's pick out the big ones. So Mearshart versus Pfeiffer. What do you got for that one?
Joe Piper knockout, pretty much. There's not really much to say about that fight. I think Joe Piper is the next big thing. Not the next big thing, but I think he's pretty good. You know, he's got some good power. I think he's just gonna be one of those guys gets some knockouts in divisions, some hype.
Yeah, I've honestly never seen him fight, but yeah, I won't be surprised. I mean, Mearshart's got that hype, because he knocked out the guy, Bruno, or knocked him out, but he dropped Bruno, who Pereira couldn't, and he's got quite a bit of a fan base. But yeah, I take your word for it. And then Watterson versus Pinero. I think Luana Pinero is gonna win. She's an absolute beast.
Yeah, same.
She's on the come up, man. I don't think Watterson's all that good. Her striking isn't that great. She's a good grappler, but she's not gonna out grapple. We know she ain't out grappling Luana Pinero, and on the feet, I think she loses. And I think she could get submitted in this fight. If Lemos could, I think that Luana could.
Let's
What do you
talk
think
about
about
Chris
that?
Curtis versus Kelvin Gastelum.
Okay, yeah. Who do you have winning that fight?
I got Chris Curtis. Kelvin Gastelum is just not the same anymore. He's been so inconsistent. He's on a losing streak. I don't trust Calvin Gastelum at this point. I do think Chris Curtis is pretty good. You know, he's got some good power in his hands, some good boxing. He could. I don't know if he knocks Calvin Gastelum out, but that would be crazy. I do think a decision is a safe pick, though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take Chris Curtis, man. I'm so over Kelvin Gastelum. I'm sick of him doing these like Twitter and Instagram posts hashtagging on a mission for gold. Like, bro, it's not 2019 anymore. Your champ
Yeah,
aspirations are in the rear view, man. You're a shell of yourself. You haven't been the same since Israel Adesanya, and I don't think he'll ever find it in himself to be that Gastelum who almost beat Israel, or who knocked out Bisping, or who beat Jacare Souza. He's not that same. He's not that same Gastelum, and I do think he disappoints once again. But I mean, I would like to see Kelvin win, but yeah, I doubt it.
all right, that's it, I guess.
Yeah, well, do you got any shout outs you want to make? Any social media plugs before we wrap this up?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay, well, that's it for our breakdown and prediction for UFC 287. Looking forward to this card tomorrow. And thank you for joining me, Saad. And yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in. Let me know your picks in the comment section down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. And
Peace.
peace.